Some really egregious missteps. I inserted myself into a movement that was being built by persons of color and indigenous persons and houseless persons and other underrepresented voices in a way that, not like, oh, I'm a white lady and I can help you, but in a way that I should have really reconsidered where and when to use my voice. And while I always try to look for the times to step back, it became clear to me and communicated to me that the last 2 days and even my time here right now, I'm not communicating that with my actions. And I think a really big part, like I said earlier, of us being able to build a sustainable movement is getting the fuck over ourselves and being able to admit when we've done something wrong. So I kind of have some chills right now because this is deeply embarrassing, but I did it. I messed up. And I am now going to turn the mic over to Teresa, who is a strong woman who's been organizing here in Portland for quite some time, is affiliated with several groups, especially Don't Shoot PDX, and has more reason to be here talking than I ever will. So let's hear from Teresa.
Hey y'all. So I wanted to ask a question because America thinks that the reason that we're out here is because we're afraid of Trump. And I know that the rhetoric that he says, the hate that he spews, there's a lot of it that happens here in Oregon even before he was elected president. And I think we have to be mindful of that. When we talk about marginalized communities, what we have to be mindful of is that when we come together like this in big old giant groups, that when we see those people, we got to realize that when they leave the protest, they're going home. They're going home in communities where people that leave those disgusting comments about running protesters over, the people that are hitting our kids at school and beating them up at the mall and pulling them off the buses, those same people live in our neighborhoods where we're still marginalized. When we're together, we have power. How many people out here are upset that Trump is the president because of racism? Just say, I hate racism. Say it real loud so he can hear it. So if we hate racism and we understand that people that have been out here fighting for their lives, the marginalized communities, we saw what happened in North Dakota. We know what's happening around this country. We know what's happening with police brutality. We should also be mindful that this man was funded by fraternal organizations and police unions. And so when we obligate ourselves to allow the police to divide our unity with anarchists and anybody else that was stand on the front line for our human rights and dignity, however their methodology works, we got to be mindful that Trump wants that division. Because guess what happens when marginalized communities call the police? We become criminalized. We can't call the police when violence happens to us and we say that we're defending ourselves against hate, because guess what? We become the criminal. You see what's been happening in these videos. Every person that called me whose child has been assaulted since Tuesday, when I asked them if they called the